You know, it wasn't something that was designed. He just wanted to replicate. He just wanted to bring what was happening in the streets. Exactly, in the energy. And what is that?
Paul Walker was more than just an actor. He was a symbol of charm, humility, and the kind of down-to-earth authenticity that Hollywood rarely preserves. Best known for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious franchise, Paul built a reputation as one of the friendliest, most approachable stars of his generation. Fans adored him, castmates respected him, and directors often praised his professionalism. But like every actor navigating the unpredictable and often ego-driven world of Hollywood, Paul encountered co-stars who didn't make life on set easy.
That wasn't a conscious decision. The decision was more or less made for me. I was at a situation where I'd run out of funding basically for school.
Behind the cameras, amid the roar of engines and scripted smiles, Paul wasn't always working with people who matched his genuine spirit. Over the years, whispers and behind-the-scenes accounts revealed that Paul clashed with certain actors, people whose egos, tempers, or attitudes left a bitter taste.
I'm Vin Diesel, and this is my friend Paul Walker, and we're here to talk about our new movie, Fast and Furious 6.
Today, we uncover 6 actors Paul Walker reportedly hated working with, peeling back the curtain on the side of Hollywood most fans never see. 1. Vin Diesel, the brotherly rivalry that soured. Paul Walker and Vin Diesel built Fast and Furious into one of the biggest film franchises in history.
Paul and I started, let me take you back.
On screen, they were inseparable brothers in arms. Off screen, however, things weren't always that smooth. At first, Paul admired Vin's leadership and larger-than-life personality. But as the series grew, so did Vin's influence over creative decisions. Reports circulated that Vin constantly clashed with directors, demanded rewrites, and often showed up late to set. Paul, who valued professionalism and a smooth filming process, grew frustrated. The tension wasn't necessarily explosive. It was more subtle, simmering under the surface. Paul reportedly disliked how Vin's ego overshadowed the cast ensemble. While Paul wanted the franchise to focus on family and balance, Vin pushed for himself to remain the centerpiece. Despite the friction, Paul never openly trashed Vin. Their relationship was complicated, a mix of deep respect, sibling-like rivalry, and quiet resentment. It wasn't pure hatred, but insiders suggest Paul found working with Vin draining at times, even if the bond they shared made walking away impossible. 2. Tyrese Gibson, the clash of personalities in the Fast and Furious universe. Tyrese Gibson brought comic relief and high-energy banter, but off-screen, his larger-than-life personality sometimes rubbed Paul the wrong way. Tyrese was known for pulling pranks, cracking jokes non-stop, and keeping energy levels high on set. While Paul enjoyed fun and laughter, he was also deeply professional. He wanted to focus during shoots, especially on emotionally heavy scenes. Tyrese's constant antics sometimes disrupted the tone, creating unnecessary tension. Several insiders claim Paul grew frustrated with Tyrese's tendency to blur the lines between playtime and work. It wasn't that Paul despised him as a person, it was that their work ethics didn't align. Paul valued respect for the craft, while Tyrese leaned more toward entertainment and spontaneity. Behind the smiles and press tours, Paul reportedly vented about Tyrese being exhausting to work with, especially on long, high-pressure filming days. Eva Mendes, the cold shoulder. When Eva Mendes joined Too Fast, Too Furious, many expected sparks to fly between her and Paul Walker. After all, the franchise was known for pairing high-octane action with sizzling chemistry. But instead of heat, there was ice. Paul allegedly found Eva distant and difficult to connect with on set. While he thrived on building camaraderie, Eva reportedly kept to herself, focusing on her role but avoiding small talk or bonding moments. Some insiders described her attitude as aloof, which Paul interpreted as dismissive. The lack of warmth made working together awkward. Scenes that were supposed to sizzle ended up feeling flat. Paul, ever the easygoing spirit, disliked the sense of detachment. He valued authenticity and friendships on set, and Eva's cold professionalism clashed with his desire for genuine connection. Though the film succeeded, Paul reportedly admitted he had no desire to work with Eva again. 4. Jason Statham, the tough guy energy. When Jason Statham entered the Fast and Furious franchise, He brought a new layer of intensity, but with that intensity came tension. Paul Walker, known for his calm and approachable nature, reportedly found Jason's tough guy demeanor off-screen difficult to deal with. Statham was ultra-serious.
Lungs.
Rarely engaging in lighthearted camaraderie. Worse, some crew members whispered about Jason's condescending attitude, as if he believed the franchise needed him more than he needed it. Paul disliked that energy. For him, the Fast and Furious family wasn't about individual egos. It was about collective storytelling and brotherhood. Working with someone who acted like the alpha created unnecessary strain. While fans loved Statham's gritty action, Paul reportedly rolled his eyes behind the scenes. Their working relationship was professional but far from warm. 5. Paul Walker versus Michelle Rodriguez, Oil and Water. Michelle Rodriguez was another key pillar of the Fast and Furious family. She was bold, fiery, and unapologetically outspoken.
I was pissed and I got on my phone immediately trying to call Vin and be like, dude, why did you call me or tell me something about it?
Unfortunately, those traits didn't always mesh with Paul's calmer, more reserved personality. Michelle was known for being passionate and confrontational when she disagreed with directors or producers. Paul, who disliked unnecessary drama, often found himself avoiding her during filming.
And I will always have multiples of each.
While Michelle thrived on intensity, Paul preferred harmony. Their on-screen dynamic worked, but insiders revealed that Paul privately admitted Michelle could be too much to handle. He respected her talent, but hated the constant clashes and heated debates that followed her everywhere. For Paul, filmmaking was about collaboration, not competition of who could yell the loudest or push the hardest. 6. Idris Elba, the final straw. When Idris Elba joined Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, the dynamics shifted once again. Although Paul wasn't alive when that spin-off hit theaters, industry whispers suggest he had already crossed paths with Idris during earlier Hollywood projects and wasn't fond of working with him.
It's up against the Russians.
Son of a bitch, he must have sold him on the same plan. That's why they gave him the dispatcher and that big hurry-up was just to get us to do the job.
According to reports, Paul found Idris intimidating, overly serious, and somewhat dismissive toward actors he considered less intense. Their collaboration was brief, but Paul allegedly disliked the lack of warmth and camaraderie. Unlike actors such as Ludacris, who brought positive energy to set, Idris's no-nonsense demeanor clashed with Paul's preference for genuine friendliness. Though their encounters weren't widely publicized, insiders claim Paul privately admitted he didn't enjoy working alongside Idris, seeing it as an experience he'd rather not repeat. Paul Walker's perspective. Why these clashes mattered for Paul: filmmaking wasn't just about scripts, stunts, or fame. It was about people. He believed every movie should feel like a family, where cast and crew bonded through long hours and hard work.
Delicate.
I'm gonna drive you.
That's why his negative experiences with certain actors stung more deeply. It wasn't just about disliking egos or attitudes. It was about feeling let down when colleagues failed to live up to the values of respect, humility, and kindness that Paul held close. Even when tensions arose, Paul rarely lashed out publicly. He kept most of his frustrations private, only sharing with close friends and confidants. Still, these 6 actors represent the rare moments where Paul Walker, the man loved by millions, found it hard to say he enjoyed going to work. Legacy beyond the drama. Despite the clashes, Paul Walker's career remains defined not by grudges, but by grace. He chose to focus on the positive, on the countless friendships he built in Hollywood, and on his enduring connection with fans worldwide. In the end, Paul Walker's story is one of authenticity in a world often clouded by egos. He may have hated working with a handful of actors, but his legacy proves that kindness, professionalism, and humility can outshine even the darkest conflicts behind the curtain of fame. And perhaps that's the lesson. Even in Hollywood, where rivalries brew and tempers flare, the measure of a star isn't who they fought with, it's how they're remembered. Paul Walker will always be remembered as more than just a star. He was a friend, a father, a philanthropist, and a man who brought light to every set he stepped on, even if a few co-stars tried to dim it.